guys.
Hey guys.
I'm Ty.
I'm your host Deera.
And welcome to the Girls So Anyways podcast. What kind of values do you feel like are different now than they were when you were a high schooler or a middle schooler?
I would say I definitely value my friendships way more. Mm-hmm. Like, I used to have like a very close set of friends, like where I'm from in my hometown. And I'm not close to them anymore, obviously. But I think that I value my privacy a little bit more when it comes to my friendships. I used to be the type of person, like when I was younger, that would overshare a lot, right? Ooh, it was bad, Ty. Like, girl. And I had to understand and I had to learn that in order for your friendships to like really be solid, it's certain things you can't tell your friends. Yeah. And it's easy to like feel like that you're so comfortable with that person. Why can't I just tell them? But it's not because they gonna go and talk to the next person. My close knit friends here, I trust them with my life. Mm-hmm. But it's because you don't want to put your shit onto someone else. Mm-hmm. You know, they're dealing with their own things as well. Imagine you just found out your friend right? Mm-hmm. Or she cheating on her dude, and she's constantly telling you about how she cheating on her dude, but then got you around her dude, right? And you like, oh my god, like
awkward.
This is awkward. I know something he doesn't. I'm in their relationship, like, you know. So I've learned to not overshare, and I value my privacy a lot when it comes to that. I value my friendships because I feel like every single one of my friends, we are all in the same like lane. It's easy to like feel like you have to be loyal to your friends from when you're like your childhood friends because you guys are childhood friends. But most of the time, you guys are growing in like completely different directions. And I kind of like ignored that. And then once I started growing this way and they weren't, it like we clashed. It toppled. We fell out because they felt like, oh, you're not telling us everything like you used to. Like, what's up with that? You doing this, you moving like this. And I'm like, maybe that's a maturity thing also. I don't know. Like, it could be. But I value my privacy, value my friendships. I value communication more than I did when I was younger. Communication is a really big part of all relationships, whether it's romantic or platonic. You have to be able to communicate. Like, without proper communication, 9 times out of 10, whatever the relationship is, it's going to fall apart. I'm really big on communication. What about you? What are yours?
I would say, as far as my values, I value communication is a big one. I'm big stickler on discipline. I'm also big on... I'm not one of those people who gives myself a lot of time to do something or put myself down about a lot of things. Yeah. Say, for example, if I'm going through something, I'm not the one to push my issues onto others. Yeah. If that makes sense. Communication, like, top tier. Yes. I value family. As far as me, I come from a background, like, my parents, they were together at one point, and we are very close. Me and my dad, I tell you all the time, we are like this. Me and my mom, like, our relationship wasn't the best, but we're still close now because we learned,
to maintain.
Yes, of course. As well as, like, my little brothers and sisters who we share, like, the same mom and dad with. I love family. I'm big on family.
Yes.
As far as... I do value friendships differently than when I did when I was younger. Yeah. I would say I hold them to a higher standard now. Because we've grown and communication is big. It goes into hand, a lot of it. How do you embrace yourself as a woman?
Ooh, that's a really deep question. I don't know. Like, I can't say one thing. I think it's a couple of different ways for me. So... one of the ways I embrace myself is my affirmations. Like, I tell myself I'm beautiful. Because it's really easy to, like, get on Instagram and see all these girls with these bomb bodies, like, perfect faces, big lips, perfect makeup, perfect hair, and be like, oh my god, I don't look like that. So am I worthy? I
would say for me, embracing is my level of confidence now than what I was when I was younger. I've never saw myself, I always found myself beautiful, but... other times, like you said, being in the media or looking at social media makes you feel like, am I worthy? Now I would say my level of confidence is way higher than what I was when I was smaller.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing because I'm like, I'm beautiful. Like, damn, I'm beautiful.
I've always been like, dang, girl, you fine. Like, I've always felt like I was just that girl. But, like, I feel like in the last, since, like, the pandemic, I've really done some self-discovery and been like, I value myself. Like, I love myself. I put me first. I choose me. Not I choose whoever for them to choose me. I choose me because I like me. I feel like I'm beautiful. I love Deera. But it's real easy to get on social media and be like, oh my God, these girls with perfect bodies, perfect teeth, perfect hair, perfect everything. And I don't look like that. Am I worthy? Do I deserve to be loved how they're loved?
Yes, you do.
And it's really easy to, like, not feel that way. And also, I feel like a lot of girls struggle with that. Like, I know I personally have never felt like I'm not as pretty as those girls. Like, I feel like, if anything, I'm prettier. Okay? Like, my confidence is top tier. But I know that a lot of girls do struggle with that. I know, like, personally, off the top of my head, a few who struggle with, like, social media versus real life. It's really hard out here.
And if you have to, well, as an individual, it's nothing wrong with, like, them taking social media breaks because social media can definitely, like, get in your head. And I don't know, like, is it the follower count or is it the like count? What makes it about social media get into our head? Is it because I feel like it's because a lot of people are following the trends of how these people look. So we envision like this is what we should look like. Yeah. I would say in regards to embracing, of course, like I'm not 100% okay with everything like on my body.
Yes.
I do have a couple flaws. I would say not from the pandemic, but last year I had a lot of stressors. It was like grad school classes, and then like my cycle just stopped.
That's scary.
It's scary. I kept going to the doctor and trying to figure out what's wrong. Like, am I pregnant? I wasn't pregnant. And over that course of time, I gained a lot of weight. I would say I picked up about 20 pounds. And to me, it's something different. Everybody who knows me, look fine. Yeah, you look fine. And say, oh, you know, your belly's still small. But to me, I have to learn how to embrace that
new body.
Yeah, so this is a lot of weight that I'm carrying. So y'all, it may be like, you know, it's nothing.
Chump change.
Yeah, it's nothing.
But for me, I'm not used to seeing myself this heavy.
Yes, so I'm learning to embrace a lot of flaws that I have. And that's like one of them. Another thing I would say is like my hairs on my leg is like so dark. And that's like a flaw for me. My lips, like a lot of parts of my body I love. My lips I love. My forehead is big. And I have to learn to love that. Because I'm like, dang, I look at myself, I'm like, my head is big. But it's like, we have to learn how to
embrace those flaws.
Yes, we really do. Because if not, you're going to be like, dang, I don't like this in my body. I don't like this. Like, you have to love it.
You have to. And you have to love it, not for other people, but for yourself.
But for you.
Like, we was talking about this earlier about how in high school people would, I was in middle school in 7th grade, and I remember this so distinctly. Like, it changed my mindset of how boys see me, right? We doing the mile run in PE. I'm running in middle school. I had really big boobs. Like, I was fully developed at a young age. Like, by 3rd grade, I was already in a C cup. Wow. 3rd grade. Wow. So I had boobs as a baby. And then once I was like in 6th grade, 7th grade, I was fully developed, like big chested, and then I was a twig. So imagine like 97 pounds with a G.
Wow. For
boobs. So we were running the mile. I already hated running the mile because I felt like everybody was looking at me, you know, looking at my boobs, like, you know. So I remember I'm running. This boy runs up to me, and he's running next to me, and we're talking. He says, so your mom let you get a boob job? And I didn't even know what a boob job was. I'm in 7th grade. I don't even know like what that means. I remember going home, Googling what is a boob job. It pops up that it's like breast augmentation, so implants. And I was just thinking to myself like, oh my gosh, like this is how boys see me? And I like, you know, really innocent, young, immature, not really understanding how anatomy works, how males and females and like boys are actually looking at these things on my body. They're not just here. And it just changed my whole mindset of how boys saw me. So from that moment forward, I knew that they were looking at me. So I tried to minimize as much as possible. Big shirts, jackets all the time, like anything to take that attention off of my body.
That's crazy.
It obviously did not work. By the time I was in high school, like, it was just terrible. Like, young boys would just say the craziest things to me, the most inappropriate things, and I'm like, oh my god, like, I don't want my kid to go through that. You know what I mean? So by the time I was 17, I had breast reduction my senior year of high school, more so for medical purposes versus for, you know, cosmetic reasons. But I was so happy. Like, it was the best thing I ever did. It took all that pressure and that stress off of me. But then it brought on new pressure and stress, because then people were like, oh my god, she got a boob job, da da da. Like, no, it was a reduction, not a boob job. But we're 17, so what 17-year-old knows the difference? But girl, it was just a hot mess. And I wouldn't say I was bullied, but I definitely, like, had more attention than what I wanted. If I could have had it my way, I wouldn't have had none of the attention at all. Wow. But you know how high school is, girl.
I feel like I went through something similar in regards to my lips. I was in, if I can recall, either middle school or high school. And there used to be, like, girls. It wasn't like a group of girls. It'd be like one-on-one. But they used to be like, your lips are big. Are you from Africa? And they were mean. And now it's to a point, yes, they used to say that. It's a point now, it's crazy because everybody's getting
their lips done.
Yeah, and my parents used to tell me, that was like, there's nothing wrong with your lips. Like that's how, perfect lips. I have big lips. It's just a part of, like, how I am. And now I embrace that. Everybody wants bigger lips. Everybody wants bigger fillers. Right.
People be like, oh my god, your boobs are so perfect. Like, if I could have thought that at 15 or 16, I probably would have been more likely to keep them. But, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Yes. Like, do you remember that period of time when we was in, like, high school and middle school when everybody would say, like, African booty scratcher and this, that, and the other, and, like, you're African, and that was, like, a bad thing for Americans to want to be African? Like, they literally made us hate ourselves.
I remember that.
That's our roots.
Are you from Africa? Because your lips so big. I'm like, what?
Like, what are you talking about?
And if I was from Africa, what's the issue? People are weird.
They, you know, and it sucks. Like, I grew up in a predominantly, like, Hispanic and white city. It was black people there. I won't say that it's no black people in the city that I grew up in, but, like, 80% of my school was, like, Spanish speaking and Caucasian. So I know for a fact, me personally, back in high school, like, there was plenty of times when racist shit was said or done, and I would just have to, like, turn the other cheek until I didn't turn the other cheek, and I was turning up on people, like, yada yada yada, and then I got the angry black girl narrative, right? Like, oh, you're an angry black woman. Black girls are always mad. Black girls always got an attitude. And honestly, I was okay with it, because that meant that you knew not to say whatever in my presence. Like, don't try it. You know what I mean? Don't try it. And it is what it is. Like, but yeah, that's crazy. The African, because of your big lips, and now people is getting fillers and dissolvable fillers. Crazy. All the Kylie Jenners and Kim Kardashians of the world with their lips, like,
right. Everybody wants the lips.
You see my lips? Guys,
Smuckaroos.
Girl, you have the perfect lips. I would kill for those lips. Lord knew not to give me some big luscious lips. He gave me my ancestors' lips. Okay.
That's funny. I was gonna say, okay, so since we're on the topic of self-discovery as a woman, how do you know when it's time to grow, like, professionally, or grow, like, away from an individual, like, from Deera? Like, what makes you want to grow away from a person?
Red flag, red flag, red flag. I used to be, have you ever, like, went through a period of time where you just ignore the red flags? Like, you see it from the jump, and you just be like, nah, I like this person as a person, so I'm gonna just ignore that. I had to stop doing that. Like, I used to be the type of person, and this was in all relationships, romantic, like, family, friends. I literally would just ignore the red flag. If I felt like we could be potential, like, if I saw potential in it, I would just ignore it.
Wow.
I feel like that caused me to befriend and be in relationships and still talk to family members that was not for me. Like, it was pointless, because we didn't have genuine, like, bonds. It was really just me ignoring those red flags. And so when I finally stopped doing that, it made it easy for me to just part like the Red Sea. Just Bye. Yeah. And also, like, believing in God. That's a really big portion of it for me. Like, I didn't used to be the best person with, like, praying and going to church and things like that. But I would say in the last 5 years, my faith has grown tremendously. I have really, like, been able to find God and understand what praying does, like, what the power of prayer is. So me praying and asking God, is this person supposed to be in my life? And if they're not, what should I do? And him being able to answer that in different ways has helped me decide, okay, this relationship is for me, or maybe this relationship is not for me, and I need to let it go.
I also feel like there's nothing wrong with loving people from a distance too. A lot of times it comes, for me, I would say, with certain family members. Yes. I have a lot of toxic family members on both sides. Woo. And a lot of them, I have to genuinely love them
from a distance.
But from a distance. Not being able to, like, give them any info about me or tell them anything that they can go and run off with it. Because don't get me wrong, like, we all go through things.
Exactly.
And if I'm talking to you about anything, I shouldn't feel like you gonna go and run off with all my information and use that as something bad.
Yes.
Because overall, I'm doing excellent in life compared to some of my peers that are in my family.
Girl. Yes,
but certain people that have different professions that are not normal are kind of praised in my family. And a lot of times, you know, I don't know why, but there's also, that comes into play with a lot of favoritism. That's another topic for another day. But there's genuinely nothing wrong with loving people from a distance. Like, you love them, but just stay back.
Like that.
Stay back.
I feel like, to touch on that, that's the same thing in my family. There is certain individuals in my immediate family, like, that are praised and allowed to do nonsense because they make it money. But money is not everything. Like, money can be the root of all evil.
It definitely can.
And trust me, I love me some money, baby. I love the luxury things in life. I like to eat and travel and buy nice, expensive things for myself and, you know, for those people that I love. But I also am going to choose peace and my faith and my household and my peace of mind over money every time. Like, if somebody was like, I'll give you this $1 million right now, I'll give you $1 million every day for the rest of your life. If you know, blah, 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 do some crazy stuff, I'm be like, no, baby, I can't go to jail. I cannot go to jail. I cannot go to jail. Could you imagine me in jail? Ain't no way. Girl, crying. They ain't even gonna be able to put the cuffs on me. I'm gonna fall out. Ah! Ain't no way. So I know that I'm not about to, you know, disturb my peace for anything or anyone. Like, I love to be free.
I don't blame you. I do not blame you. I would say, in regards to letting people go, or you can say companies as a whole, I would say in regards to letting people go who no longer serve us, including working at a professional organization. Yes. I've been through work at a lot of toxic organizations to a point where, I don't know, it's just like, the company is just toxic overall. They don't want you to spend quality time with your family, and they want you to request out 5 months in advance, and
insane.
When it comes to things of that level, I'm like, I gotta get out of there.
That's
like,
crazy.
It's time to leave. So I
have a question. I'm going through something similar with the current company I work for, and I'm trying to, like, figure out, is this job serving its purpose? Correct. Like, it has good perks. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, one of the good perks is, you know, they're helping me pay for my schooling. It's not much, but it's something. Yeah. But then I just feel like there's other things that are so terrible that I'm just like, how do I walk away from this job without, like, feeling like I'm losing? And it's hard. Like, I constantly feel myself at battle. Like, I'm stressed. Like, do it, not do it. How have you been able to, like, navigate that feeling of uncertainty?
I would say it can be hard. I'm in a phase right now, like, in my career, like, professionally. A lot of times, like, I would say we pick jobs based off of job descriptions. And once we get into that job, you're like, I don't really like this. That is how I am now. It can definitely be hard. If you go there a lot of times, when you first wake up and you don't want to be there, it's not serving you. Yeah. It's hard to say, or it sucks to say, but it's no longer serving you. If you're unhappy before you even step foot in that professional office, it doesn't serve you anywhere. Because it's like you're overall unhappy. Like your body don't want to be there, your spirit don't want to be there. It's like God's telling you, this is not for you. But you continue to be in that space. You're gonna be unhappy.
Like why? Why do we do that as a human race? I feel like we do that a lot. We compromise what God is literally saying to us
and giving us signs.
And for temporary, it might not even be pleasure, because sometimes it's not even temporary. Like in relationships, like we're easy to ignore those red flags and stay in something that may not be for us, just like we do in jobs. I wonder why. Like, why do we do that?
A lot of times I feel like we do that because we're comfortable, and being uncomfortable can be hard.
Yeah.
And overcoming that fear of, I have to do this, and this. I have to live on my own if I break up with my ex. I have to go find my own place.
I have to do all this hard
work. To do all the hard things. We don't like to be uncomfortable. But that's the only, I feel like that's the only way you can grow in life, is to be uncomfortable.
That's true.
To unlock that next fear, to unlock whatever that you've been praying for, you really have to be uncomfortable.
That's true. I have to agree. And being uncomfortable doesn't look the same for everybody. Like for me, uncomfortable for me is like being without a job, because I've never been without a job. I've always, even with me being an entrepreneur, like I've always had a little side part-time or full-time hustle. Other than that, that's uncomfortable for me. For some people it may be different, but I don't know, I've always like feared like the what if. Like if I quit my job, what's gonna happen? How am I gonna survive? How about this? What about that? And it's easy to like be stressed out about that. And I feel like a lot of people struggle with that. Like even in relationships.
Of course. I would say before you even do it, mentally prepare yourself. Because it's going to be a constant battle of, am I going to fail? Am I going to do well? You have to be in a good headspace.
Yeah.
Like, I would say don't do it just like drop it and leave.
Just be like, bye.
But mentally prepare yourself. Mentally prepare your body. Put yourself on a schedule, because if you don't, you're gonna go haywire.
Yeah,
Please put yourself on the schedule.
I have to agree with that.
Put yourself on the schedule.
When Jay got hurt and I was out of work for like 4 months on my own, though, they didn't fire me. I just had left so I could take care of him. Girl, I was going haywire for the first 2 months because there was no schedule. Like he was still hurting, so my days consisted of like helping him shower, helping him use the bathroom, cooking, cleaning. Doctor's appointments, like nothing for me or nothing to do with work. And I was going crazy. I was like, I gotta get a schedule. Once I did, and I got him on a good schedule with his physical therapy, and like I was finding time to do stuff, I was like, okay, this is nice. But no schedule. Like that's how I don't like, you know how they say there's like 2 types of people in the world. A type A who has to be on a schedule, everything has to be scheduled out. And then there's type B who is kind of just go with the flow. Yeah. I'm like right in the middle.
I would say it's hard to stick to the schedule 100%. But as long as you, for example, if you be like from 9 to 10, I'm going to work out. And then from 10 to 12, I'm going to do this with this business or do this with this business. You don't have to have it strict, but as long as it's on a schedule, you should be fine. I personally work well with schedules. I can be spontaneous depending on what I have planned, but a lot of times it's harder.
I'm a little bit of both. Like I'm very, 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 it's so funny that you said that word. I'm very spontaneous. I was just telling my partner the other day, I want him to be more spontaneous because he's a type A. Like, he got to do everything with a schedule. And I'd be like, you're stressing me out. Like, he'd be looking at me like, how is this stressing you out? I'm trying to keep us on schedule. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, please just be spontaneous. But he's a spontaneous person in his own way. But it's not like my type of spontaneous. Yeah. My type of spontaneous is we get up tomorrow and let's fly to Spain. Yeah. Like, and he's like, what? That's a $5,000, $20,000 trip. Are you crazy? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's fun. And he's like, no. And he's real like finicky. So spontaneous is definitely hard.
Yeah, it's harder.
It's hard to be with somebody who's like just off the Richter. Like, what are you talking about? It's going to Spain tomorrow. Like, girl, what? I'm not like that bad, but that's just an example. But I am pretty spontaneous, but then I'm also not. Yeah. So I definitely can relate. Like, being spontaneous is hard. I need my schedule, though.
Yeah.
Because if I don't have my schedule for the week,
hard.
I'm just perplexed. Like, mess around and schedule my dentist appointment and my wax at the same time.
Oh, my gosh.
So, trust me. I definitely get the spontaneous part. But also needed a calendar.
Yeah.
I need my calendar.
Keep that calendar on hand.
Period. Okay? Google, what is it? iCalendar? iPhone calendar? I forgot what
Or
it's called.
Google Calendar.
I need it all. All of it. Or it's just going to be a wrap. It's going to be a no-go.
That keeps me together. It was a good podcast.
This was a good episode.
Yeah.
Let us know what y'all think about it in the comments. Let us know what our next topic should be.
Give us some tips.
Yeah.
What is your form of self-care? How do you embrace yourself as a woman? Like,
yes. Well, how do you balance? Let us know. I'm always interested to hear how other people do it because I could take a tip or two from that. So,
same.
Let us know.
And always, thank you guys.